on, YouTube? Welcome to another edition of Yugi Noobs, your greatest source for all things Yu-Gi-Oh! This is Jinzo here alongside
Frog the Jam.
And today we're going to be talking about two topics as we typically do. We'll be posting between 3 and 4 videos every week, and the two topics we'll be talking about today will be the upcoming release of Primal Origins, and we will also be reviewing the set that just came out, which is Legacy of the Valiant. So, first of all, Frog Jam, what do you think about Primal Origins? How do you see that set fitting in with the rest of the Zexal sets that came out?
Well, in my opinion, I do think that Primal Origin is probably the best set for all the Zexal packs.
I agree. I agree completely. I just think it covers so much. Just like Legacy of the Valiant, it's a huge set.
There are so many decks that it just supplies support for that have needed support for a long time.
Right. I completely agree. I mean, I personally am impartial to Dark Worlds, and for just to have some new Dark World support cards that are coming out, and Celt, that's what, one of the cards I'm really excited about. But I mean, you've got cards for Dark Worlds, you got cards for Boojins, for Hazy Flames, more Sylvan support, more ridiculous Battle and Boxer support. You've got a new Gladiator Beast monster, Dolce monsters, Scrap support, Artifacts, which is the new archetype in the set. Trap Tricks has a new card coming out. Quackimiro has some new stuff. Ghost Tricks, and new and additional Monarch support, with Thestalos being the new Mega Monarch. So I think that with all this, and with this being the official last booster set of Zexal, I think that this is, what better way to go out than have a set that just kind of encompasses everything.
Yeah, they're really trying to go out with a bang with this one.
Yeah, I really do think so, and I think that, I know you're impartial to Hazy Flames, and how do you think Hydra, Hazy Flame Hydra, is going to affect that?
I definitely think Hazy Flame Hydra is going to be a really good card to add into the Hazy Flame decks, because I'm definitely going to put 3 in my deck. I know that.
Yeah,
I definitely think it's worth putting 3 in. It's got 200 defense, so it's going to edge me to put more Rekindlings in my deck and summon Basal Trace easier.
Yeah, I think just Hazy Flames, just when I play them, they're just so difficult to work around because they can't be targeted by anything, and just to have that plus the addition of Hydra with being a 200 defense guy that can be targeted with Rekindling, another level 6. Plus, he can add to Basal Trace like no tomorrow.
It just makes it so much easier to bring out Basal Trace and wreck the field.
Right. Plus, there's going to be new options that you can add into that deck because he is a level 6 dinosaur. You can now add Evil Source Solda, which I don't think many people were thinking. It's kind of a dead card from a while ago, but that card can really step up that deck.
And it's going to be really good because of Hydra's effect. You can add more material onto him. And while he's got material, he's got the effect of being unaffected or not being able to be destroyed by other card effects. Yeah,
the last thing Basal Trace or Solda need is more material on them. Now, moving on to Celt, the Ogre Lord of Dark World. I think that this set, it's in my Dark World build, I do not play level 6s. But I think that with this, it'll kind of push me to maybe add in some rank 6s in. Plus his effect is just, you can discard to special summon him, so he's essentially just like Silva and Gold in the deck. So I just think with, that addition, it kind of gives you some options to go into with Dark World, so I'm excited for that. The Gladiator Beast.
Before you go on to Gladiator Beast, I was going to say, I think Celt is a good card for Dark Worlds, and I don't know if he's really worth putting in your deck, though, unless you're going to run Dark Deals, because I think the biggest part of him is his second effect, being able to summon from your deck. That's pretty broken, but other than that, he has to be discarded by an opponent's card effect, so I don't know if he'd be worth running unless you really plan on having a way of doing that effect.
But it would be an easy side. It would be an easy side tech to just put in, because not only would it work with Celt, but it would work with almost all the other ones to pull off their second effects. But moving on from that, you've got the more Sylvan support. I think that after Primal Origins, I think that this is the booster set that'll put Sylvans over the top with Lone Fire Blossom being so huge with that deck, and then all the level 8s with that deck, plus you've got new Sylvan Exes to just kind of go with that, plus with the new Excavating cards. I mean, it's just so easy to maneuver your deck around to fit it just like you would want to do. Plus, there's a lot of cards that can be worked in and teched in to kind of improve your success rate, Compulsion of Nature. So, I mean, it's which also works in Hazy Flames. So, what do you think about Sylvans? Where do you see their future?
Well, I always think plants were a good deck, but they didn't really have that name. Like, they're just generic plant monsters, and now that they have the deck, the Sylvans, they have all this plant support, just regular cards that are going to work really well in that deck.
Yeah, I think the last decent plant deck was always Naturia. I think Naturia, it had some good things going for it, but we just couldn't keep up with speed with all the other meta decks around.
And I also didn't think of this. I was dueling a deck where he excavated the top card of his deck, and it ended up being Dandelion. And since he sent that, he got to summon those 2 tokens. So there's so many other plants that already work with that deck. Right.
I think the combos are going to be kind of endless with that deck, with just being able to kind of pick and choose what you're excavating. I mean, I see it being a good start for that. So then we've got more trap trick stuff, which they're definitely kind of showing up on the anti-meta scene a little bit. We've got Quackimiru cards that just are kind of interesting, just kind of like a fan favorite build. And then we've got Gladiator Beast, which I started to talk about. The Gladiator Beast monster that's coming out is absolutely, in my opinion, ridiculous.
So correct me if I'm wrong, this is like the first Gladiator Beast that's over like a level 4 other than the fusion, like the extra deck monsters. It's like the first effect monster from the deck that is over level 4, right?
There is another one, but I think it's Gladiator Beast Alexander. And he is a level 6, but he can only be special summoned by a certain Gladiator Beast.
Oh, yeah.
So this one is the first generic that can be special summoned.
That he can just be summoned from the deck. He's 2600 beater, so...
That's disgusting.
Yeah, that's...
I have a Gladiator Beast deck, and I can tell you it's really, really difficult to work around because you're constantly dealing with an influx of monsters on the field. Plus, they have really good support for the deck on top of that. So then we have some Madolche cards. I personally think Madolches are the worst deck in Yu-Gi-Oh!
I disagree with that statement.
I've played them at regionals, and my Dark Worlds just sent a pack, and I just chewed on
I've dueled a couple of good Madolche decks, and I don't know if this support's really going to help them all that much. I don't know if it's what they need, because I don't know really anything about Madolches. I just know they're a decent deck, but it might help them. Yeah.
Now, Ghost Tricks, they're a tricky deck to play around. I would almost consider them kind of a freak form of anti-meta deck, just because they are so different with the flips, with the flip effects, and constantly special summoning face down. The new Monarch that's coming out is Thestalos, the Mega Monarch. His effect, in my opinion, is probably one of the best Monarchs in general effect, because not only do you get to look at your opponent's hand, but you get to pick a monster out of your opponent's hand. Or you get to pick a card, but if you decide to pick a monster, which you can freely choose, your opponent's is minus 200 times its level. I mean, that, to me, is just insane. Not to mention the fact that it's tribute summoned by a fire monster, you're also minus 1,000. So, Monarchs are definitely, I think, one of the good builds.
Yes, they're really pushing Monarchs with the spell and trap support they keep coming out with in the new higher level Monarchs.
To me, Monarchs just give me kind of like a nostalgia feeling because they're like a blast from the past. So I personally like them. So, but yeah, so we have all those. We have some Bujin supports, which is pretty much a hand trap deck. And then we've got Battle and Boxers have a ton of support in Primal Origins. I think that Battle and Boxers have real potential after Primal Origins.
I agree. I think I don't really. It kind of confuses me whenever they give Battle and Boxers all the support because I don't know if they really need it. They're already a decent deck.
They are.
And some of the decks that they have, they're only giving like 1 or 2 cards to, and this has like a lot of stuff. And it honestly reminds me of Six Sams whenever they were really popular.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. There hasn't been any really good warrior decks Like, I mean, back in my day, it used to be Warriors and Dragons were the tops, and you had Spellcasters and anything else under that. And kind of Warriors have kind of faded just because with the emergence of Beast Warriors, Beasts, you have your Spellcasters with your spell books, and just a ton of other decks. You still have some E-Dragons kind of floating around with the Heretic build in there, but I mean, to me, I think that the Battle Boxers is a good step up for Warriors, with just adding the fire attribute to them. I mean, there's a good bit of cards you can do that, and plus the cards that are coming out in Primal Origins for Battle Boxers are specific to Battle Boxers. So it's going to work really well in that deck, and I think it's going to give them the support that they need to kind of step up their game. So overall, there's some really good commons in the set too, and some rares. I think that there's more Dustin support coming out for that anti-meta if you like that. I mean, there's going to be a lot of good stuff that just kind of can cater to all different types of Yu-Gi-Oh players. So I think it's going to be a really good set, and I can't wait till it comes out. Personally, this is one of the most excited sets.
We didn't really touch on all the Galaxy support for the Galaxy deck.
Yeah,
I don't know if we can miss that. There's just too much.
We would have to take a separate video for all the Galaxy support. There's that much.
There's so much stuff. That deck's going to be pretty good once Primal Orders come out, because that set basically is complete support for that deck.
Yeah, I mean, if they're not tier 2 or tier 1 after this, they'll never be. So that's just the way I look at it. I think that the support that they're getting, the draw power that they're getting is just absolutely ridiculous, and it needs to be banned. But no, I think it's really good. Just to kind of see that, you know, one thing that this last ban list did was bring decks that were dead and other kinds of decks to the forefront, so you have more variety, not just E-Dragons topping everywhere.
I feel like what they're trying to do with this set is, instead of using the Forbidden Limited list to like kill a deck, they're just trying to help boost some other decks up to the top too.
I agree. So overall, Primal Origins should be coming out right before the summer hits. For us here in the U.S., I think it's going to be a success. I can guarantee you we will have at least one box opening on the channel for that set, and we will show you guys what we get for pulls. But I'm really excited about it. I know everybody else is going to be too, if you don't know about it, and you'll definitely have to pick up the cards that